Answer the call. That's what LA County's firemen do every single day.
It's a very dynamic job. We could show up here today and we could be on a possible fire in Malibu, by lunchtime.
Sick person 165 squad 16.
But that also means that injury or even death could be around the corner. Every firefighter has a story of an injury or a close call. Chris Vasquez's close call was in May of 2015.
It was far into the shift. It was actually almost midnight. So typical fire call on the Quint, headed there, reported smoke and fire showing.
The 3-alarm fire was at a commercial building. His station 164 was in charge of ventilating the roof.
It was a very aggressive fire. Turned out to be an attic fire, and things were escalating quickly.
3 other fellow firefighters were on that roof. They all fell through. The one most severely injured was Matthew Ramirez, who suffered burns all over his body. He picks up the story.
That's when the roof gave, and it was like Larry, Vasquez, me, and Hayashi was behind me.
Firefighters just fell through!
He's been a firefighter for 14 years and shared his traumatic experience with us in between calls.
It's no big deal, but...
And then, in the middle of the interview...
it took a long time to accept that... Unless you want to come.
The fire is at a 2-story commercial building in Maywood. And after Matt's fall, going back on a roof can be a trigger.
Just worried that it's gonna fall through. It just, that fear, that thought's always in the back of my head now.
As he walks on the roof, he can't help but be reminded of those terrifying moments when 4 years ago he fell through and landed in the mouth of the fire.
It's like, all right, they might not be getting to me. I think I'm gonna die.
From injuries to cardiac arrest and cancer from prolonged exposure, with every fire they tend to, years are cut off of their lives. On average, firemen die 10 to 15 years earlier than non-firemen.
So they pulled me out, and I got maybe 10 feet. And I knew what I chose. I knew I left them. And it was hard to know that I left them behind. And so as they're trying to carry me out, walk me out, I just gave up.
What he didn't know is that Vasquez, who you met at the beginning, had thankfully exited in another spot.
The whole time they're carrying me out, I'm thinking, like, how am I gonna... How am I gonna look at Lorena and tell her I left her husband? How am I gonna look at PJ and I'm gonna tell him, that I failed, they're not gonna see their dad again? I didn't know how I was gonna do that.
And so although no one died, just the thought of losing his friend in that way has left him scarred, physically and emotionally. It has had an impact on Vasquez too.
But humbling in the point that it puts life in perspective.
Today's fire was measured in alarms and monetary damages. Nevertheless, in the last few years, more firefighters have died by suicide than in the line of duty, attempting suicide at more than 10 times the rate of the general population. That, coupled with a shorter life expectancy, should make us rethink how we measure fires. not in acres and structures burned, but in the number of life years lost by the firemen and women who are always there to answer the call.